said and done. We ask that it goes for the upgoing and uplifting of your kingdom. Lord, this is a word for the people of God, and we ask that it be manifested in here today, Lord Jesus, and give our women the encouragement they need along with the men. But Lord, uplift us in every way possible, in every attribute, and let us be used in your kingdom and for your service. In your name we do pray, amen.
Amen.
Please turn with me 2 Corinthians chapter 4. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, 8, 9. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 8 and 9. When you have it, please stand. 2 Corinthians chapter 4. And we will read together verse 8 and 9. And it reads together, "We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed." You may be seated. The word of God for the people of God. Let it be known for the one of his kingdom. This morning, the women, when you come out to Wednesday night, you guys know we all every week, every month, we make sure we try our best to get something that gravitates to something that we need that we can use for our weekly and our daily journeys. And we have our women's, this is something that I was stuck on before and I wanted to redo it. 2 Corinthians 4, verse 8 and 9. And it simply says, I'm going to read it one more time. It says, "We are troubled, but not distressed. We are indeed perplexed, but we're not despair. We are persecuted, but not forsaken, cast down, but not destroyed." I had several titles for this. At first, I said, let me come up with something that's completely me, which is, I ain't tripping. I must struggle. I ain't tripping. I must struggle. Or you can say down, but not out. Some other people might say there's good news for a bad time. Others might even say trouble don't last always. This title can also even be the struggle is over. But as for me, I'm saying I ain't tripping. I must struggle. Let me tell y'all a little story. There was a little boy who went to the museum with his grandfather. And in this museum, it was a moth museum. Everybody knows that a moth is in the same family as a butterfly, but it's not quite a butterfly yet. So as he went to this moth museum and he looked around at all the beautiful butterflies that were pinned up on the wall, he noticed that there was one particular moth in a cage, and it was in a cocoon. And out of all the ones that were developed, this was the one left behind still in the cocoon. So he was astonished. He stayed there for an hour and he watched this cocoon shake. But nothing ever came out. He let an hour go by. He let an hour and 30 minutes go by. He let 2 hours go by. And this moth, or whatever was insects that was inside of this cocoon, it kept shaking, but nothing ever came out. Finally, on the 3rd hour, he looked around and didn't see anybody watching what he was doing. So he found a pen, being destructive, and he took this pen and he slit the cocoon. When he slit the cocoon, he looked on the ground and he saw an insect that was neither a moth nor a butterfly. He didn't know what it was, but it came out of the cocoon, and he knew that in the cocoon, later on down the line, in his destiny, it was supposed to be a butterfly, but for some reason, when he cut this cocoon open and it fell out, it was neither one. So he looked and he sees this shriveled up insect that looks bloated. The insect was bloated. It had a big head and a little body. And it had little shriveled up, deformed arms. So he looks at the moth, at the insects. He says, get up. You're supposed to fly. Your job was to fly. I let you out because I saw that you were struggling. And I let you out because you were shaking for 3 hours inside of this cocoon. But you didn't do what I wanted you to do. The boy got so nervous that he ran to his grandfather and said, Grandfather, I cut the cocoon open in order to get this insect out because it was trying to get out all this time. And the grandfather said that was the problem. The problem was you should have never cut the cocoon open because there's a small insert at the very bottom of the cocoon where basically he squeezes his way out. So this moth, he might look like he's in trouble, but what he does is he squeezes his way out of his situation. And once he squeezes, all the fluid that you saw that looks as if he's bloated, the fluid begins to spread and the fluid goes to his wings. And if you don't give him the utterance or you don't give him the time to squeeze himself through his own hole, then for some odd reason he's now deformed. So I gotta tell you that sometimes in our life we look as if we need your help. And we look as if we need you to do something for us. But the problem is you cut my cocoon too early and now I am now bloated and deformed. So I can't move. So he looks at this cocoon and he says, why can't you fly? What is the problem? You're sitting there, you're looking bloated, you look disgusted. And the grandfather told him it's because you messed with him past his time. Christian women of God, we need to quit being so nosy and stop trying to tend to other people's business so quickly and so fast because you don't know what cocoon they're in. But either way it goes, in all cocoons there is a hole. In all cocoons there is a hole. You don't have to slit one for him. He can slit it himself. God gave us that opportunity of oxygen just to breathe. So therefore, get yourself out of your own situation. All right. So once he asked his grandfather about why this was going on, the grandfather said, well, sir, the wings were undeveloped. And he said, I was just trying to make it easy. Stop trying to make it easy for somebody. Right. He said, I was just trying to make it easy. I wanted him to avoid the struggle because I seen him do it for 2 to 3 hours. And again, I say, once the fluid spreads all over, the fluid goes to the wings. And without the forcing of the fluid to the wings cannot develop. Without the wings not being developed, it can never be a butterfly. Without it being a butterfly, he can never survive in the wilderness. Period. So therefore, you need that bodily fluid to squeeze through your situations. And if somebody cuts you before your time, you are now deformed and you can't get out of there in the wilderness. So the moral of the story is, I'm not tripping in my cocoon. Allow me to stay there. And allow me to squeeze my own self out and give my own self the fluid to be able to fly on my own. So it's all in the form of the transformation. Don't make it easy for me. I must struggle. I might be broke, but it says I'm not broken. I might be pressed, but for some reason I'm still not crushed. It says I might even be struck down, but it says I'm not destroyed. You must struggle. Every baby, and I think about Logan all the time when she was a baby. When she was a baby, she crawled around. And miraculously, on her first time trying to stand up on her own 2 feet, of course, she fell down. But not one time did I say, Logan, stay there and chill. Don't get back up. Just don't even do it no more. No, I encouraged her to get back up, and I said, come to mama. Logan, come to mama. Logan, get up. Logan, try it again. Try it again. And sometimes she fell on her back. Sometimes she even fell on her face. But not only did I let her fall, but I encouraged her to do it again. And sometimes in the process of our Christianity walk, we seem to forget the fundamentals of a child walking. And as we fall, we seem to forget that it is time to get back up. And for some odd reason, we don't do that. And instead of telling them to stay down, just like you encouraged your child to get up and start walking again, you're supposed to encourage one another to get up and start again. But for some odd reason, we sit there longer than what we should. But this is not the fundamental thing of what we do with our own children. We don't do that with our babies, but we seem to forget that very first step when we told them to get up and walk and encourage them and allow them to fall face forward and backwards. So it says, because I knew that if she never fell, she would never get up. And I knew that if she didn't fall, she wouldn't know how to walk. And I knew that if she didn't fall and get up, she wouldn't know how to run. I knew that if she didn't fall and get up, she wouldn't be able to maximize her potential in life. So therefore, falling and getting up is all what this is all about. And it says some of us have seemed to just simply forgotten. But as I go back to it, it says, we are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are troubled. We are troubled. We are set with our problems. We are beset in our problems. But it says, but you ain't suffering. So what? So yeah, you doing bad. You don't have no money, but it ain't the end of the world. You got a job. So what he's saying is, so what? And I love this about 2 Corinthians because really and truly 8 and 9 is simply saying, so what? Who cares? You down, but you got legs? You up, but you can go? What's the problem? So then he says, I am beset in my problems, but yet I ain't suffering with anxiety. Okay, and then it says, I am perplexed, but not in despair. That means I'm baffled. I'm a little puzzled. I'm a little discombobulated. I'm confused from time to time. But he said, but that don't mean, but I'm not completely absent from hope. That's what it says. I'm perplexed, but I'm not in despair. So I might be confused. That's what perplexed is. I might be just a tad bit confused and baffled. But he says I'm just not completely absent, which means I'm understanding what's going to take place. And then in verse 9, he says, I am persecuted, but not forsaken. So I might be experiencing some pretty offensive and oppressive treatment. But he said, for God art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thy prepare. He said, I'm still there, so I'm not forsaken. So he said, I might even be cast down. I might be thrown away, but you ain't demolished. So what? So what? So the moral of this story is I must struggle, and I ain't tripping. So let me be. Allow me to go through my struggle, and don't just watch me, but encourage me to go through it. Don't just let me sit there and let me fall. Encourage me to go through it. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to be that deformed insect that's neither a moth nor a butterfly. I'm asking you politely to let me stay in my cocoon just as long as God decides to break me in the spirit. And after he breaks me in the spirit, I'll get out on my own, and all the fluid and the spiritual life that is within me will spread to the uttermost parts of my wings, and I'll be able to fly around here for the most part. So just allow me. Because I ain't tripping. I must struggle.